Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our evening of Burns and Ambition, a fundraising launch. A massive welcome to all our fellows and to our friends joining us from across Scotland, England, and right around the world. We know we're being watched tonight by many expatriate Scots and members of diaspora communities who share a deep passion for Scotland's past and for the stories, the heritage, the culture that connect us. I am delighted to be your host for the event and to be filmed this evening in the library of the magnificent Broomhall House in Fife, ancestral home of the Bruce family. I tell you, we cannot thank Lord Charles Bruce enough for his generous welcome to his home. Lord Bruce is a long-standing fellow, just as my late father Magnus Magnusson was, and the Society are honoured by his continued support. We're gathered this evening for two historic reasons. First, this is the very first time the Society of Antiquaries of Scotland has hosted an online celebration of Scotland's greatest bard, Robert Burns, bringing us together in a way Burns himself would surely have approved of, across borders, across generations, and across every corner of the globe. And secondly, we're here to mark the launch of an ambitious new chapter in the Society's own story. Our fundraising campaign to raise £1.5 million in the next 12 months. This campaign will enable us to secure a permanent home for the Society and to create a national heritage hub for Scotland that will serve as a welcoming centre for research, learning, public engagement and stewardship of our shared past for generations to come. So tonight we're celebrating Burns, his words, his wit, his humanity, and we're celebrating our shared ambition for Scotland's heritage and its future. And let me tell you, we have a fantastic lineup. We'll begin with Diana Murray, CBE, the Society's president, speaking from the National Gallery's Scotland portrait, a fitting setting given the Society's long and special relationship with this remarkable building. Diana will share the vision for the Society and the ambition behind our fundraising campaign. We'll then enjoy a unique Immortal memory from Pauline Mackay, Professor of Robert Burns Studies and Cultural Heritage and Director of the Centre for Robert Burns Studies at the University of Glasgow, as she explores how antiquarians inspired Burns and helped shape Tam Shanter. Now, to begin our evening, let's enjoy a beautiful performance filmed recently in Ayr. Performing A Fond Kiss is Sophie Craig, raised just a stone's throw from the cottage where Robert Burns was born. A Robert Burns World Federation national champion in both song and recitation, Sophie has brought the bard's words to audiences in London, Budapest and New York. A Fond Kiss, written by Robert Burns in 1791, was composed as a tender farewell to Agnes MacIlhose, marking the end of their deeply emotional friendship. It captures the sadness of their final parting and is considered one of Burns' most heartfelt songs on love and loss.
Forever
Lovely performance there from Sophie Craig. Before we cross over to the Portrait Gallery to hear more about the launch of our fundraising campaign, it's worth pausing on the remarkable connection between Broomhall House here, Lord Charles Bruce, and the story of Robert Burns. The Bruce family has safeguarded an extraordinary heritage in this house, which includes the mighty two-handed sword of King Robert the Bruce, passed down through successive generations since the 14th century. In 1787, Burns visited Clackmannan Tower, where Catherine Bruce, the last of the Bruces of Clackmannan, asked him to kneel and knighted him with the great sword. It's a powerful moment, isn't it, in which Scotland's royal past and its national bard come together. And now we cross over to the Portrait Gallery for the President's address and the launch of the fundraising campaign.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on what is an historic moment in the story of the Society of Antiquaries of Scotland. It is especially meaningful to be here in the National Galleries of Scotland, the Portrait Gallery, a fitting and deeply symbolic setting for this occasion. For more than 2 centuries, the Society has championed the study and enjoyment of Scotland's past. From its foundation in 1780, it collected artefacts, artworks, manuscripts, and archaeological material at a time before the National Museum existed, creating Scotland's first great antiquarian collection and helping to establish the principle that our heritage should be preserved, studied, and shared for the public good. By 1851, the collection had grown so significant that it was transferred into state ownership as the National Museum of Antiquaries of Scotland, a decisive step that laid the foundation for the National Museums of Scotland we know today. In the late 19th century, the Society's museum and library moved into this very building here on Queen Street, which was purpose-built to house both the Society's collections and the National Portrait Collection. From 1889, the Scottish National Portrait Gallery and our Society shared the building. The Portrait Gallery in one wing and the Society's museum in the other, standing side by side as guardians of Scotland's past. The memorial window and the Society's crest at the entrance still remind us of that enduring association. Eventually, the Society's collections were relocated to Chambers Street, where they have become part of what is now the National Museum of Scotland, and the Society itself was housed in backroom offices. We are very proud of our association with the National Museum of Scotland, but tonight we take the next step in that story. We are launching a major fundraising campaign to secure a permanent home for the Society and its fellows, its widening activities, including the creation of a National Heritage Hub for Scotland, a place for research, learning and engagement, where future generations can connect with our shared past. This campaign is about more than a building. It is about legacy, leadership in heritage, and ensuring that Scotland's history continues to inspire curiosity, understanding, and pride for many years to come. I am deeply grateful to our fellows, supporters, and friends across Scotland and around the world for their commitment to the Society and for sharing in our ambition for the future. Please watch our short appeal film and discover how you can help us turn this ambition into reality. Thank you.
Tucked away high in a 19th century top-floor flat, hidden deep within the National Museum of Scotland in Edinburgh, lies the home of Scotland's oldest learned society, the Society of Antiquaries of Scotland. Founded in 1780 and granted a royal charter in 1783, the Society has spent almost 250 years exploring, protecting and sharing Scotland's past. In 1851, our extraordinary collection of antiquities passed to the nation, helping form the foundation of what is now the National Museum of Scotland. Today, in the 21st century, we are Scotland's oldest heritage charity and learned society, bringing together over 2,600 members, known as Fellows, from around the world who share a passion for Scotland's past. Our vision is simple and powerful. Scotland's past is for everyone to research, share, enjoy and protect. But now we stand at a defining moment in our history. The heritage world is changing, shaped by new expectations, financial pressures, and a desire for greater inclusivity and innovation. At the same time, more people than ever are searching for connection to place, to identity, to the stories that shape who we are. This is a moment of immense potential for the society, but we are being held back. We operate from a top floor flat within the National Museum of Scotland, a hidden, inaccessible space that isolates us from the very people we exist to serve. A space with no room for events, no space to welcome visitors, and no ability to fully support the heritage sector we care so deeply about. Our members, our fellows, the very heart of the society, cannot visit our current premises in Edinburgh, nor can visitors who travel from across Scotland or journey from around the world. That simple act of connection, of networking, of standing with the society to create, hold and share knowledge is out of reach. But an exceptional opportunity has emerged to purchase a B-listed building beside the National Museum of Scotland. A place where the society can put down new roots and create a visible, welcoming, vibrant centre for discovery, learning and connection. With space for exhibitions, a recording studio, meeting rooms for public engagement, we can return to the heart of Scotland's heritage where we belong. And crucially, the Heritage Hub will complement, not duplicate, the extraordinary work of our neighbours at the National Museum of Scotland. The Hub will reveal stories about the communities involved in unearthing the museum's treasures, those who make, record and research Scottish heritage. The building we hope to secure at Bristol Place has its own very fitting heritage. This was once the southern gateway into Edinburgh, entered through Bristol Port, a fortified arch built in 1515. In 1503, Margaret Tudor passed through a grand gateway to marry King James IV, sealing the Treaty of Perpetual Peace. In 1638, the National Covenant was signed nearby at Greyfriars Kirk, a turning point in Scotland's story. Later, the ill-fated Darien scheme was steered from this very strait. Today's building is now at the heart of Edinburgh's cultural quarter, within a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and sits among some of Scotland's national heritage institutions. More than 10 million people pass through this cultural corridor every year. Over 2 million step into the National Museum next door. For centuries, this corner of the city has been a gateway to Scotland's past. The Heritage Hub will carry that legacy forward by being a dynamic, living gateway to Scotland's past. Thanks to the remarkable generosity of the current owner, the Society has been offered this building at a fixed price. Once secured, we will immediately begin restoring this historic asset and bringing the vision for Scotland's first National Heritage Hub to life. National partners are already showing interest. But to unlock that support, we must purchase the building by January 2027 at a cost of £2.1 million. The Society is committing at least £600,000 of its own investments, but that leaves a funding gap of £1.5 million to raise in just 12 months. If we cannot raise the funds in time, the Society will lose this exceptional opportunity. And this is where you can make a profound difference. By making a gift, or by sharing this opportunity with others, you can help us bring our vision to life and purchase the building. You may give personally, through a trust or foundation, or through a corporate partnership. It could be in memory of someone special. We have developed tiered giving levels starting from £2,000. For gifts of over £200,000, our Gold Donor level, recognition will be displayed in the new boardroom. For gifts of £1 million or more, supporters are invited to become the primary naming partner for the Heritage Hub, a rare opportunity to be honoured on the exterior of the building. But please be assured, every single gift truly matters to us. For nearly 250 years, passionate antiquaries shaped and supported this society. Now you can stand amongst them. Help us raise £1.5 million and become part of Scotland's story by donating to the Heritage Hub campaign.
This is an incredibly important project for both the Society and for Scotland, and your support in any form really matters. If you're able, please do support this campaign. We know, of course, that not everyone's in a position to give, but we'd ask you to think about who you know and help us spread the word far and wide. Further details on how to get involved are on screen now. Now, a moment we've all been waiting for. Pauline Mackay, Professor of Robert Burns Studies and Cultural Heritage at the University of Glasgow and Director of the Centre for Robert Burns Studies, is now going to give us a rare opportunity of reflecting on Robert Burns' deep connections with the antiquarian world and how those relationships helped inspire the creation of Tam o' Shanter. She's presenting the address at the Portrait Gallery in front of the famous Burns painting by Alexander Naismith. Burns, remember, was moving among Edinburgh's vibrant intellectual circles at the very moment the Society of Antiquaries of Scotland was coming into being, drawing on stories, ideas and histories that would echo through his work for generations to come. And in true Burns tradition, if you have your favourite dram to hand, keep it ready, because before long we'll be toasting the immortal memory of the bard himself. But first, over to Professor Mackay to tell us more about the life of the bard.
Our monarch's hindmost year but ane was 5 and 20 days begun. 'Twas then a blast of Janwar wind blew Hansel in and Robin. This is from the song Rantin' Rovin' Robin, in which Burns is effectively commemorating his own birth, his own birthday. And now, an immortal memory. What a concept, what an achievement. The 9 admirers and contemporaries who gathered at Burns Cottage in Alloway, Ayrshire in 1801 to enjoy a humble meal of haggis and to toast Robert Burns, the Scottish national bard, with a dram of whisky, would have been astounded that we and over 9 million people worldwide are celebrating Burns in the tradition that they started at the first ever Burns Supper 225 years ago. But why? Why, since his death in Dumfries on the 21st of July 1796, has Burns become the most commemorated of all authors anywhere in the world? Why is the Scottish national bard toasted in every corner of the globe, from his birthplace in Alloway, Ayrshire, to Sao Paulo in Brazil, from the United States to China and Australia, even, and research has corroborated this, from atop Mount Kilimanjaro or at an Antarctic outpost? What motivates this phenomenal act of memory, this celebration and promotion of Scotland's past as a key part of our cultural present? And it's here in this special immortal memory for the Society of Scottish Antiquaries that I'd like to turn my attention to antiquarianism, the investigation of our past in all its guises, and the research, understanding and promotion of the past, whether related to places, people or things. Burns's fascination with the past is clear from his extensive correspondence, his activities as a prolific collector of Scottish song for James Johnson's Scots Musical Museum and George Thomson's Select Collection of Scottish Airs, and from his creative representations of historical events in his own writing. And here we might turn to his memorialisation of Robert the Bruce and William Wallace in Robert Bruce's March to Bannockburn or Scots Wha Hae, or to his lament of Mary, Queen of Scots, on the approach of spring. Given Burns's broad and frequently expressed interest in history, in storytelling, in song collecting, and in the environment and topography of Ayrshire, Dumfriesshire, and Scotland at large, It's perhaps unsurprising that he was friendly with the core of the Society of Antiquaries of Scotland's membership in the late 18th century. Among them were his Edinburgh printer, William Smellie, Robert Riddle, and James Earl of Glencairn. But let's focus for a moment on Burns's relationship with the politician, literary patron, and antiquary who founded this very society in 1780, David Stuart Erskine, the 11th Earl of Buchan. Following the very warm reception of Burns's 1786 Kilmarnock edition of poems chiefly in the Scottish dialect among the Edinburgh literati, the poet temporarily relocated to the capital to promote his work and to produce his second Edinburgh edition of 1787. While residing in Edinburgh, Burns received a letter from the Earl of Buchan, who had taken an interest in this celebrated newcomer to Scotland's literary scene. And so, on the 1st of February 1787, Buchan wrote to Burns praising these little Doric pieces of yours in our provincial dialect. In the passage I'll read now, Buchan encourages Burns to travel across Scotland to derive inspiration from the country's landscape and history. Go and visit my Parnassus on the banks of the Tweed and visit the birthplace of Thomson on the Water of Rule. Feed your muse with the ethereal mildness when the spring first opens the primrose on the steep verdant margin of his parent stream. Fire her in summer with the view of Flodden Field from the summit of Mount Eildon. Ripen her in autumn with the placid, cheerful scenes of harvest and the snowy fleece, yielding to the happy lands of the contented shepherd. And in winter, sit on the ruins of Dryborough and with the history of your country full in your reflection memory, and in your heart call upon her genius to inspire you with the majesty of song. And may the Apollo of Magnusson, who sits on the fork of Eildon, enable you to produce the genuine offspring of genius, sentiment, and skill, never to die. I am, Mr. Burns, with great justice to your merits, your well-wisher, Buchan. Notable here is Erskine's reference to James Thomson, author of The Seasons, whom Burns would support the Earl in commemorating some years later. Notable also is Erskine's conflation of history, place, inspiration, and in the closing words, his reference to immortality. In Burns's response on the 7th of February, the poet makes clear that the practicalities of his financial and social circumstances makes such a tour unlikely, though of course something to aspire to. Here's Burns. Your lordship touches the darling chord of my heart when you advise me to fire my muse at Scottish story and Scottish scenes. I wish for nothing more than to make a leisurely pilgrimage through my native country, to sit and muse on those once hard contended fields where Caledonia, rejoicing, saw our bloody lion borne through broken ranks to victory and fame. And thus, catching the inspiration to pour the deathless names in song. But, my lord, in the midst of these delighting, enthusiastic reveries, a long-visaged, dry, moral-looking phantom strides across my imagination, and with the frigid air of a declaiming preacher, sets off with a text of scripture, I, wisdom, dwell with prudence. Burns was, however, able to fulfil this wish, and some months later, in May to June 1787, he enjoyed an eagerly anticipated tour of the Scottish borders, followed by a tour of the Scottish Highlands in August of the same year. These journeys were, as Erskine predicted, incredibly fruitful for Burns's creativity and gave rise to several works, including the Burks of Aberfeldy, the Humble Petition of Brewer Water, and the Lovely Lass o' Inverness. But Burns's most extensive creative engagement with antiquarianism can be seen in one of his most famous and iconic works, arguably his masterpiece, Tam o' Shanter. This epic, wild, supernatural ride was composed as part of a deal with another antiquary, Captain Francis Grose. Burns met Grose in July of 1789 when he lodged with a fellow antiquary, Burns's friend and neighbour Robert Riddle, at Friars Carson, Dumfriesshire, and Riddle lived nearby Burns's farm at Ellisland. Grose was an accomplished antiquarian and the author of Antiquities of England and Wales between 1773 and 1787. Burns's fondness for Francis Grose is apparent from a poem written in his honour on the late Captain Francis Grose's peregrinations through Scotland, collecting the antiquities of that kingdom. Here, land of cakes and brother Scots, frae Maidenkirk to Johnny Groats. If there's a hole in all your coats, I read you taint it. A chills amang you taking notes, and faith, he'll prent it. If in your bounds you chance to light upon a fine fat fodgel white, or stature short but genius bright, that's he, Mark Wheel, and woe he has an uncle sight of cock and keel. By some old hewlet haunted biggin, or kirk deserted by its rigging, it's 10 to 1 you'll find him snug in some eldritch part. With deals, they say, Lord Safe's colleaguing at some black art. Ilk ghaist that haunts old Hor Charner, ye gypsy gang that deal in glamour, and you deep read in hell's black grammar, warlocks and witches, you'll quake at his conjuring hammer, ye midnight bitches. It's told he was a soldier bred and ane would rather fawn than fled, but now he's quat the spurty blade and dogskin wallet, and ta'en the antiquarian trade, I think they call it. He has a footh at old knick-knackets, rusty iron caps and jingling jackets, would haud the Lothians 3 in tackets, a towment good, and parritch pats and old salt backets before the flood. Of Eve's first fire he has a cinder, old to Balkin's fire shool and fender, that which distinguished the gender of Balaam's ass, a broomstick of the witch at Ender, wheels shod with brass. Forby he'll shape you a foog leg, the cut at Adam's fillibeg, the knife that nick at Abel's craig, he'll prove you fully it was a falding jock to leg or Langkale gully. But wad ye see him in his glee, for meikle glee and fun has he, then set him down and 2 or 3 good fellows wi' him, and port, oh port, shine now a wee, and then you'll see him. This warm and light-hearted poem captures Grose's enthusiasm, his voracious appetite for macabre relics and curious stories, and of course, his interest in witchcraft, something shared by Burns, whose imagination was profoundly influenced by supernatural tales and legends passed on to him by an old maid of my mother's. Burns declared in a letter to Dr. John Moore that she had the largest collection in the county of tales and songs concerning devils, ghosts, fairies, brownies, witches, warlocks, spunkies, kelpies, elf candles, deadlights, wraiths, apparitions, cantrips, giants, enchanted towers, dragons, and other trumpery. Burns had ample material to draw upon then when he convinced Grose to feature a sketch of Alloway Kirk in his forthcoming volume of the Antiquities of Scotland, by supplying him with 3 prose accounts about the supernatural goings-on in that place of local legend, and, crucially, an accompanying poem, Tam o' Shanter. This is a poem in which Burns assimilates the folklore and the topography of his birthplace, and indeed his father William Burness's resting place. Famously, on Tam's journey home from the Nappy, where he's been boozing with his cronies, he encounters Kirk Alloway in a blaze. Warlocks and witches in a dance, nae cotillion Brent knew fae France, but hornpipes, jigs, strathspeys and reels put life and metal in their heels. A winnock bunker in the east, there sat old Nick in shape of beast, a towsy tyke black, grim and large. To gie them music was his charge, he screwed the pipes and gart them skirl, till roof and rafters all did dirl. Coffins stood round like open presses that showed the dead in their last dresses, and by some devilish cantrip sleight, each in his cold hand held a light, by which heroic Tam was able to note upon the haly table a murderer's banes and gibbet airns, twa span lang wee unchristened bairns. A thief new crutted frae a rape, wi' his last gasp his gab did gape. 5 tomahawks wi' blood red rusted, 5 scimitars wi' murder crusted, a garter which a babe had strangled, a knife a father's throat had mangled, whom his ain son a life bereft, the grey hairs yet stacked to the heft, wi' mair a horrible and awful, which even to the name would be unlawful. These lawyers' tongues turned inside out wi' lies seemed like a beggar's clout. 3 priests' hearts rotten black as muck lay stinking vile in every nook. Such a concentration of specifically located legend and macabre curiosities was surely crafted with Burns's Antiquary Chiel Gross very much in mind. Tam o' Shanter is a poem with an antiquarian twist, a gesture to Gross in his readership. And so, the influence of the antiquary upon one of Burns's most popular and iconic works shouldn't be underestimated. Tam o' Shanter, of course, prompted the collection and production of all manner of related relics and souvenirs from the late 18th century to the present day. From rosary beads purportedly crafted from the rafters of Alloway Kirk, to Mauchlinware souvenirs produced from wood that grew within its railings, razor hones, and ceramic whiskey jugs. The process of recording, collecting, reimagining and promoting culture and history, orally and materially, represents one of the important ways in which Burns's legacy has been secured and celebrated for over 2 centuries. Here's a question I'm often asked. Why is Burns, an 18th century Scottish poet, still relevant all over the world today? It's because we make him relevant through our many and varied acts of commemoration. Positive affirmations of culture, education and cultural exchange, all of which are at the core of antiquarianism, taken together with the conviviality, sociability and friendship that have ensured the great tradition of Burns Night and the Burns Supper. And so, today, we might reasonably assert that Robert Burns's memory is immortal. It's for our generation to recognise and celebrate the importance of tonight's great tradition and never shy away from evolving and diversifying our engagement with and celebration of Burns's life, work and memory, and indeed of Scottish history and culture, as Burns and his antiquarian acquaintances did. So please, let's join in raising our glasses to the immortal memory of Robert Burns.
Professor Pauline Mackay, wonderful stuff. In store for you now is an exceptional performance of Tam o' Shanter, performed at the Portrait Gallery in front of John Flaxman's 1824 statue of Robert Burns. Our thanks to City of Edinburgh Council, Museums and Galleries for giving us permission to film. This unique moment is brought to life by Christopher Tate, one of Scotland's leading interpreters of Burns, who's widely acclaimed for his dramatic portrayals of the bard.
During the summer of 1789, when I was 30 years of age, I was introduced to one Captain Francis Grose, and, well, took to him at once. Fat and jovial, Grose lived up to his name perfectly, with an inexhaustible fund of humour and a passion for antiquities. Well, in seeing a further chance to spread the fame of my native shire, I suggested to him that he include an illustration of Alloway Kirk in his new book. He agreed, "Providing, Robert," he said, "that you furnish me with a poem to be printed alongside." The result was my most famous tale of ghosts and witches, Tam o' Shanter. When chapman billies leave the street, and drouthy neighbours meet, as market days are wearing late, and folk begin to tack the gate, while we sit boozing at the nappy, and getting foo and unca-happy, we think now on the lang Scots miles, the mosses, watters, slaps and stiles that lie between us and our hame, where sits our sulky, sullen dame, gathering her brow like gathering storm, nursing her wrath to keep it warm. This truth fand honest Tam o' Shanter, as he frae airy nicht did canter, all there wham ne'er a tune surpasses, for honest men and bonny lasses. Ah, Tam, hadst thou but been sae wise, as ta'en thine wife Kate's advice, she told thee weel thou was a scalum, a blatherin', blusterin', drunken blalem, that frae November till October, ye market day thou wasna sober, that ilka melder wi' the miller, thou sat as lang as thou had siller, that every nag was cadashuon, the smith and thee got roaring foo on, that at the Lord's house, even on Sunday, thou drank wi' Kirkton Jean till Monday. She prophesied that late or soon there would be found deep drooned in Doon, or catched wi' warlocks in the murk by Alloway's old haunted kirk. Ah, gentle dames, it gars me greet to think how many counsels sweet, how many lengthened sage advices the husband frae the wife despises. Oh! But tae oor tale. Ye merk it nicht, Tam had got planted, uncoricht, fast by an ingle, bleezing finely, where Raymond Swats the drank divinely. And at his elbow, Suitor Johnny, his ancient, trusty, drouthy crony. Tam looed him like a very brother. Oh, they had been fou for weeks together. The nicht drave on wi' sangs and clatter, and aye, the ale was growing better. The landlady and Tam grew gracious, wi' favours secret, sweet and precious. The suitor told us queerest stories. The landlord's laugh was ready chorus. The crickets joined the chirp and cry. The kittlin chased her tail for joy. The storm without micht rear and rustle. Tam, the storm a whistle. Care, mad to see a man sae happy, e'en drooned himsel amang the nappy. As bees fly hame a laids o' treasure, the minutes winged their way with pleasure. Kings may be blessed, but Tam was glorious, or all the ills of life. Ah, victorious. But pleasures are like poppies spread. You seize a flower, its bloom is shed. Or like the snow falls in the river, a moment white, then melts forever. Or like the borealis race that flit ere you can point their place, or like the rainbow's lovely form, evanishing amidst the storm. Nae man can tether time nor tide. The hour approaches, Tam mun ride. That hour, o' nicht's black arch the keisting, that dreary hour he mounts his beastin', and sick a night he taks a rodin', as ne'er pear sinner was abroadin'. The wind blew as 'twad blawn its last. The rattling showers rose on the blast. The speedy gleams the darkness swallowed. loud, deep and long the thunder bellowed. That nicht a child might understand. The deil had business on his hands. Ho, ho, ho. Wheel mounted on his grey mare Meg, a better never lifted leg, Tam skelp it on through dub and mire, despising wind and rain and fire, whilst hadden fast his gid blue bonnet, whilst crowning some old Scots on it, whilst glowering round. We prudent cares, lest bogles catch him unawares. Kirkalloway was drawing nigh, where ghasts and hullets nichtly cry. By this time he was crossed the ford, where in the snow the chapman smored, and past the birks and meikle stane, where drunken Charlie brak sneck bane, and through the whins and by the cairn, where hunters found the murdered bairn, and by the thorn, aboon the well, where Mungo's mother hanged hersel. Before him, Doon pours all his floods, the doubling storm roars through the woods, the lightnings flash from pole to pole, near and more near the thunders roll, when, glimmering through the groaning trees, Kirkalloway seemed in a blaze. Through ilka bore the beams were glancing, and loud, resounded mirth and dancing. Inspiring bold John Barleycorn, what dangers thou canst make us scorn. We tip nae, we fear nae evil. We uskebe, we'll face the devil. Aye, the swats say reamed in Tammy's noddle. Fair play, he carna deals a boddle. But Maggie stood recht sair astonished, till by the heel and hand admonished, she ventured forward on the licht. And whoa, Tam saw an uncasicht. Warlocks and witches in a dance. Make a tion Bret Newfie France, but hornpipes, jigs, strathspeys and reels put life and metal in their heels. A winnock bunker in the east. There sat Old Nick in shape o' beast, a towsy type, black, grim and large. To gie them music was his charge. He screwed the pipes and got them skirrel till roof and rafters all did dirl. Coffins stood round like open presses that showed the dead in their last dresses, and by some devilish cantrip slicht, each in its cold hand held a licht. The torches climb around the wall, infernal fires, blue bleeze and all. By which, heroic Tam was able to note upon the haly table a murderer's banes in gibbet airns, twa spanglan wee and christened bairns, a thief new cutted frae a rape, wi' his last gasp as gab did gape. 5 tomahawks wi' blood red rusted, 5 scimitars wi' murder crusted, 7 gallow pins, 3 hangman's whittles, a raw o' wheel sealed doctor's bottles, a garter which a babe had strangled, a knife a father's throat had mangled. Oh, him his ain son o' life bereft, the grey hairs yet stuck to the heft, were mair a horrible an offer, which even to name would be unlawful. 3 lawyers' tongues turned inside out wi' lies seemed like a beggar's clout. 3 priests' hearts rotten black as muck lay stinking, vile in every nuck. As Tammy glowered, amazed and curious, the mirth and fun grew fast and furious. The piper loud and louder blew, the dancers quick and quicker flew. They reeled, they set, they crossed, they clicked till ilka carlin swat and reek it and coosed her duddies tae the wark and linked at it in her sark. Now Tam, had they been queens or plump and strapping in their teens, their sarks, instead o' creasy flannin, been snow white 1700 linen, their breeks o' mine. My only pair that, well, yens were plush agad blue hair, I wad I gain them off my hardies for a blink o' yon bonny birdies. But withered bell dams auld and droll. Rigwoody hags would speen a foal, limping and flinging on a crummock. I wonder, didna turn thy stomach. But Tam kenned, whit was whit fu brawly. There was a winsome wench and Wally. That night, enlisted to the core, lang after Kent on Carrick shore. For mony a beast to dead she shot, and perished mony a bonny boat, and shook baith meikle corn and beer, and held the countryside in fear. Her cutty sark, o paisley harn, that while a lassie she had worn, in longitude, though sorely scanty, was her best, and she was vaunty. Little Kent, her reverent granny, that sark she bought for her wee nanny, wi' 2 pun Scots, 'twas all her riches, would ever graced a dance of witches. But hear my moos, her wing maun cower, sic flights are far beyond her power, to sing how nanny lap and flang, a supple jade she was and strang, and how Tam stood like ane bewitched, and thought his very een enriched. Even Satan glowered and fidged fu fain, and hotched and blew wi' micht and main, till first he kipper, sign another, Tammy tint his reason altogether, and roars out, "Oh, well done, cutty sark!" And in an instant, all was dark. And little had he Maggie rallied when out the hellish legion sallied, as bees buzz out with angry fight when plundering herds a sailor bike, as open pussy's mortal foes when pop she starts before the nose, as eager runs the market crowd when catch the thief resounds aloud. So Maggie runs, the witches follow, with money eldritch screech and hollow. Oh Tam, they'll get thy fair, and hell will roast you like a heron. In vain thy Kate awaits thy coming, Kate soon will be a woeful woman. Now, day thy speedy utmost, Meg, and when the key stain o' the brig, there at them thou thy tail may toss, a running stream they dare'na cross. But ere the key stain she could make, the faint a tail she had to shake, for Nanny, far before the rest, hard upon noble Maggie pressed, and flew at Tam wi' furious settle. But little wist she Maggie's mettle, a spring brought off her master hail, but left behind her ain grey tail, the carlin clote her by the rump, and left puir Maggie scarce a stump. Now, o this tale, o truth shall read, ilk man and mother son tak heed, whene'er to drink ye are inclined, or cutty sarks run in your mind. Think ye may buy the joys o'er dear, remember Tam o' Shanter's mare.
Now that's a performance of Tam o' Shanter you're unlikely to see again, especially from the portrait gallery in the very presence of Burns' most iconic likeness. Thank you very much, Chris. As we move towards the close of the evening, with only 2 performances to go, we turn now to a truly timeless love song. Please welcome the acclaimed Scottish tenor Colin Thomas Bryce, the tartan tenor as he's called. Tonight he brings us, yes, you guessed it, My Love is Like a Red, Red Rose, Robert Burns' most beloved love song, written in 1794 and celebrated around the world for its achingly lovely expression of enduring love.
Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love is like the melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair art thou, my bonny lass, sae deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry, my dear, till o'er the seas gang dry, and I will love thee still, my dear, till o'er the seas gang dry. Till o'er the seas gang dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun, and I will come again, my love, while the sands o' life shall run, and fare thee weel, my only love, and fare they will a while, and I will come again, my love, though 'twere 10,000 miles. Though 'twere 10,000 mile, my love, though 'twere 10,000 mile, and I will come again, my love, though 'twere 10,000
That was perfect. Our thanks to Colin Bryce. It's now my great privilege to bid you a warm farewell from the magnificent Broomhall House to all of you who've joined us wherever you may be and whenever you may be watching. Thank you. Please remember to help us share the story of our fundraising campaign with friends and colleagues across the globe. It offers a rare opportunity for philanthropic recognition through an enduring association with the Society of Antiquaries of Scotland, becoming part of Scotland's story for generations to come. From all of us at the Society of Antiquaries of Scotland, thank you for watching, and Slán Java to your good health in 2026.